Most product managers only get 1 or 2 interviews for every 50 jobs they apply to, and they're wasting hundreds of hours applying endlessly, wondering why they don't hear back. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty tired of it, and I'm also tired of all the bad advice out there from people who solve their problem and think that whatever they tried is what works just because it worked for them. Now, I've reviewed thousands of resumes as a head of product. I've hired product managers at Amazon for nearly a decade as a bar raiser, and I've been coaching product managers for years, helping them land their next role and build better careers. And what I've learned is this: there's too much noise and bad advice out there, and I'm just tired of seeing people make the same mistakes over and over again that are really easy to fix. So if you're thinking about looking for a new job, or you're already stuck trying to get more interviews, this video is for you. I'm going to show you the 3 things that matter most on your resume and how to change them so that you can stop wasting time and start getting more interviews. If you don't know me, I'm James Kanaka, a product management career coach. I've helped clients improve their application conversion rates from 0 to as high as 30%. Landing interviews and roles at all kinds of companies, and helping product managers is all I do. So today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what works and show you how to increase your application conversion rate to as high as 30%. Okay, the one thing that matters more than everything else is impact. And this is the biggest problem I see on CVs. They talk about responsibilities and not impact. And not showing your impact on your resume is the fastest way to get put in the reject pile. Now, I interviewed a product director at Wise a few months ago for a fireside chat with Product Tank. And this is what he said: if your resume has no numbers, no quantifiable impact, it's an immediate no. And he's not alone. Every hiring manager and recruiter I've talked to says the same thing. So what do I mean by impact? Well, when it comes to business impact, businesses really only care about 5 things: making money, saving money, getting new customers, keeping customers, and increasing shareholder value. That's it. No matter what you've worked on, it should tie back to one of those outcomes. So here's the framework that you need to use for as many bullets as you can, and definitely for the first bullet of each role. It's called the X by Y by Z framework, and I'm going to walk through how it works. X is the accomplishment, Y is how you quantified or measured it, and Z is what you did to achieve it. Let's just look at a couple of examples. Okay, first, increase customer satisfaction 22% in 3 months by redesigning onboarding. This says so much more than a simple scope statement like own the roadmap for customer onboarding. I'm going to give you another. Grew ARR to $320 million in 18 months by launching a new subscription tier. Again, this communicates impact immediately, provides a timescale, and highlights how it was done. Compare that to a simple action statement like wrote requirements for a new subscription product. Look, even Google tells candidates to use this approach. You can find it on their career website. Now, a client of mine managed to land an L6 product manager interview using this approach along with my resume template, and you can check for a link in the description below to get that template. It's completely free, and hundreds of PMs use it because it works. Now, another way to really dial up the impact of your bullets is to vary that doing Z part, right? Mention things like partnering with design to complete UX research, or getting buy-in on product vision or strategy from the CEO and the VP of sales. Or maybe running A/B experiments to validate some assumptions. The more you connect impact to the actual work that you do as a product manager, the better your applications will convert. I've seen this work repeatedly for PMs of all levels and all industries around the world. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what if I don't have the exact numbers? Or what if it's confidential? Here's what you can do. You can just use ranges like XX million for 10 to 99 million, or you can estimate savings over a year and extrapolate financial impact by just applying an average salary. You can also focus on percentages or timescales if absolute numbers just aren't available. The point is to show measurable outcomes, not just responsibilities. You want to make sure that this is done for as many bullets on your CV as possible, and you're going to start getting more interviews. I guarantee it. The second thing that matters on your resume is a professional summary. Now, this is probably the easiest change that you can make that will have the biggest impact on your conversion rate. I've seen more PMs including a summary lately, which is great, but the problem I see with most of these is that they're just way too generic, probably because they're chasing an AI matching score. And those tools, by the way, they're not great. Leave a comment below if you want a video about how you should be using AI properly across your job search. Now, using generic or ambiguous phrases doesn't tell recruiters what they want to know, and so they just skip them. So if the first thing that they read goes something like this: I'm a dynamic product manager who loves solving customer problems in a complex environment, delivering impact while collaborating cross-functionally, and I thrive in environments where I can blah, 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 right? The recruiter or the hiring manager has stopped reading at this point, just like you may have considered tuning out. Now compare that to a summary like this. 8+ years in product management, including 3 years leading product management teams, delivered 0 to 1 products that scaled to 1.2 million users and 5 million ARR within 18 months, built payments and fraud prevention systems serving 3 million plus monthly transactions, seeking senior product manager roles with strategy ownership. You can tell the difference, can't you? One is vague, doesn't tell the recruiter anything, and the other is packed with data and answers the questions that your customer wants to know. When every statement causes a little box in their brains to be checked, they get a little bit of a dopamine hit, and that makes them keep reading it until the end. You've probably heard the stat that recruiters spend only 7 seconds reading a resume, and on average, that's about right. A well-written professional summary on its own can put your application into the interview pile. So here's the solution. I've got my own framework for this, and it's called SOAR. Here's what it means and exactly how to write yours. It just starts with scope. How many years of relevant experience do you have? This is the number one question that recruiters and product leaders want answered. So just put it right at the start. If you're applying for leadership roles where you line manage teams, include that too, because the number is different. Next comes outcomes. What's your strongest measurable result? Is it revenue growth? Did you drive crazy user adoption? Or maybe you saved companies millions of dollars through cost reduction. You want to put your most impactful numbers in there. Even sum them up if you can across your entire career. Then it's all about alignment. What domain or product type do you specialize in? Have you built a career in B2B SaaS? Have you been building products at the cutting edge of AI? Right, this needs to differentiate you as well as match what the company is looking for. And finally, there's role direction. What type of role are you looking for? What type of company or industry? You want to connect what you're looking for with what job you're applying to. So that's the framework. Now look, I know that rewriting a bunch of bullet points and crafting a crisp professional summary can take a lot of time. And this is why I've built custom GPTs to help product managers get immediate feedback and suggestions and get you 80% the way there. You simply upload your current resume and let it do its magic. Now I shared these in a resume workshop that I run, and I'll leave a link in the description for you on that as well. Okay, third thing that matters is the structure and layout of your resume. I'm going to walk you through the order that your CV should follow. First, contact details. These should just be at the top. You only need name, email, LinkedIn, and a city. Phone number is optional, but I personally know some recruiters that will simply call you. All right, second, professional summary. This is like the TLDR of your relevant experience. After that comes the work experience. Now this is obviously where the bulk of the information goes. You want job titles, company names, location, dates, and you also want progression to be spotted easily. Next comes certifications or awards, right? Or you can include affiliations as well if you've got them. Those courses you've taken on Maven or Pendo, they might not mean the difference when it comes to getting an interview, but they do show that you're committed to upskilling and learning and not simply relying on your company to provide you with all the experience that you need to do the job well. And then finally is education. Too often I see people putting education at the top, even if someone graduated 5 or more years ago. It's old news, so you can move it to the bottom. Now, my resume template applies this structure cleanly for you, and here's what it looks like. Now again, I know what some of you might be thinking, like that looks boring and standard. And I get it. I used to have an overly designed resume myself. But look, we're product managers, not designers. Your CV isn't being judged on how beautiful it is. It's being judged based on how easy it is for your customers to get the information that they care about to make the decision to interview you. So just stick with a single column because that's what your customers know how to read fast. You want your resume to be clean and scannable. All right, so I've got 5 CVs here that I want to walk through with you. I'm going to talk about some of the things that I think are good, some things that are bad, what needs work, maybe what things you can remove, or what you should keep, right? That way you really have a good example of what's going to help you get more interviews. All right, so I'm just going to walk through these. I'm going to use some markers, mark some things to help you, okay? So let's look at this first one. We've got what looks like a 3-page resume. So like right now off the top of that, I would say like we need to get this down to 2 pages. There's no reason to go over 2 pages. Whether you've been working for 5 years or 15 years, keep it concise. 2 pages is all you need. Don't feel like you have to get to 2 pages, and don't feel like 1 page is bad either, okay? So that right away is something that I think could be improved here. Another thing I want to talk about is this skills section, right? So you can see that this person has all of these keywords here. The problem though with this is that it actually doesn't show any specific impact, right? These are just words in context. And so this doesn't actually tell a recruiter anything, and it's not tricking the ATS or the applicant tracking system into like sorting this higher just because these keywords are here. This is not like SEO of the year 2000 where you can game an algorithm just by stuffing some keywords here. So if you look at something like product strategy, right, which is very common for someone with a 10-year product experience, like where is it actually mentioned in context of what they've done? It's actually not here at all in their role. And so recruiter sees this, they want to know product strategy, but they're not seeing it in context for the role, right? And that's actually what matters, okay? Also, they have a profile here, which is great, right? They're just using a professional summary. And what are they doing well here? Well, they start off with product manager, 10 plus years of experience, delivering enterprise B2B SaaS and data platforms across all these things. Great first sentence, okay? Hits years of experience, hits domains they've been working on. But then this next one, expert in driving outcomes through close collaboration across all these different teams, right? And then it just kind of goes on and on. There's no real like measurable outcome here. And there's nothing that can be pulled out from this sentence that has anything to do with this specific individual. Lots of people could write this, and maybe like regulatory needs, that's unique to them, but it's, not unique to just this particular candidate. Okay, they say demonstrated success in product discovery, blah, blah, blah. None of this other stuff as well is actually quantified. So the only valuable parts of this professional summary is the first sentence. So someone's not going to read the next. Then they're not going to read this section either because it's also not something that they get a lot of value from. Okay, what else do we see that's on this first page that looks good? Their first bullet, first role, right? Now it's way down on the bottom third of the page, right? So that's something we'd want to have higher. But what do we say here? Enterprise customers relied on manual configuration and fragile reporting, slower onboarding, and limited scalability. Like this is a problem statement, not necessarily the outcome or impact. Then the next line led end-to-end discovery and delivery of a self-service application, coordinating these squads, enabling faster time to value, right? So this is the impact for tier 1 financial institutions, but like how much faster? It's not clear. So this is a 3.5 slight line bullet point, where really the only impact that's talked about is near the end of the third line, and it's not really quantified. Then we see on this next line, hey, we've accelerated delivery by 20%, improved usability scores by 30%. That's great, but also like they've buried it here near the end. Okay, so there's a couple other instances here where people will see numbers, right? And these things are helpful. But overall, like a lot of these bullets are taking a long time to get to the valuable impact. If we move to the second page here, right, we see things like, let me get my red marker back out, partnered with customer success, sales, and implementation teams to implement early feedback and improve onboarding experience. Like improved it how? What was the measure of improvement for the onboarding experience that's worth talking about? It's not mentioned here, okay? So I'm not gonna go through all the bullets on this one, but I just wanted to share it as an example. Now on the last page, they have their education details, right? It doesn't need to be anything more than this, really. They could mention where the school was. In this case, they didn't include that, but they did mention where it was. All right, let's move to the second example here. Okay, so this one is a single page, right? A lot of information. There's not a professional summary in here, which it's okay not to have one, but I would strongly encourage that you do include one since it's a way to get the TLDR. Because right now, if I wanted to understand how many years of product management experience does this person have, I have to do some math, right? Recruiters don't like doing math. They'd rather just see the numbers up front so they know. It's the number one thing recruiters want to know about you when deciding whether or not to interview you. So they come to the resume, they're going to have to do some math. Okay, so what do we see here? We see the first general manager and product manager role, right? Now this is talking about 2 jobs. That's also something that can be a bit confusing. So did you switch from one to the other? It's hard for them to know. But now we're looking at maybe potentially 2 to maybe 3 years based on when this is being filmed, right? And then we've got product manager here. It looks like they maybe were promoted at some point because these are both under the same company, but it's not immediately clear. Okay, so a professional summary could make some of those things a bit more obvious. I do like how they have grouped their internships into a single line here, right? This is someone who's earlier in their career history, and so they've gotten a pretty tight, condensed information on their CV. And again, they're putting education down at the bottom, which I also really like. That's in a good spot here. They do include more details on their education because, again, this was something that they just finished a few years ago. I think they could probably get rid of this this skills section down at the bottom, right? Just get rid of this skills, Scrum Master, etc. Right? They talk about A/B testing and SQL, and now as a hiring manager, I'm probably thinking, where in here are they talking about A/B experimentation? Let's look at some of the bullets. Leading a refactoring project to bring a 15-year-old software into a modern stack, right? That's kind of a scope thing. I guess maybe that's what they were doing at the time, running product discovery. All right, so they've been in this position pretty much close to 2 years, and there's no impact in this position at all, right? So that's a problem. I still haven't come across yet something related to experimentation, right? So obviously recruiters will do keyword searches when they're looking at your resume to highlight words. Diversified pipeline, right? Drove 30% ARR growth. This is great. They should actually just lead with that. Drove 30% ARR growth by diversifying the sales pipeline through experimentation. I guess here's where they are mentioning experimenting. So that kind of complements this A/B testing they mentioned down here, right? And they're also using the use of styling, right? They're bolding some things, although it's kind of inconsistent what things they're bolding. Here, like this is a great impact statement to start with. Improved NPS from -23 to 36, right? That's a very meaningful and measurable outcome. And they talk about how they did it. So like this is a great example. I'm gonna give that one just a little star. Okay? All right, so that's number 2. All right, now we get into some of the ones that I know have been performing really well. So this was from a client who was getting a 30% conversion rate on their applications, right? And this was without me having to do any work with them. They kind of sent this CV to me and said, hey, can you look at it and give me some feedback? And my first question normally is, well, how's it doing for you? And they said, oh, it's converting at about 30%. And I'm like, well, that's great. Don't change anything. If it's working that well, you're done. But I just want to highlight what's working in this case and have that maybe lead to her doing so well. Well, in this case, right, she's got a summary at the top, senior product manager, 7+ years, driving these types of things. Right, she doesn't mention specifically the impact statement in here, but a lot of her bullets, in fact, I've already kind of looked through these before. I know that about 2/3 of these all mention some sort of measurable impact. I could just quickly highlight here. Multiple currency for 500,000+ payments. Launch this currency market in 10+ markets. Reduce customer service workload by 10%, expanded reach to 100,000+ customers, right? Achieve same-day approval of 70%, achieving 60% success, right? Reducing false positives, right? Achieved 80% conversion rate, 91% CSAT. Like you see this all over their resume where they're talking about some sort of measurable impact or some sort of positive change, right? And so we get further down here, right? Now serving 10,000+ users, right? Led development in 5 months, launched MVP, right? 6 months, backed by $2 million in funding, led 5 multi-million-dollar projects, right? So just all over this resume is impact and quantifiable numbers of things that they did. Okay, and you see there's no skills keyword table on this, right? They're just hitting on the things they did. There's also no like major big company names that a lot of people tend to think, oh, if I have a brand name on my resume that people know, that's going to get me more interviews. In fact, that's not actually true, especially if it's a poorly optimized resume and doesn't include the things that we've talked about. Okay. They do have some things down at the bottom, right? Extracurricular. They led a hackathon. They did some pro bono work. They did some volunteering. This communicates more about them personally. I don't find that these things particularly improve application conversion rate when they're included, the things that are maybe not related to the job, but they do add a little bit more personality, and some recruiters do favor learning those bits of details. Okay, so really the only thing on this one that I would say could probably have improved a bit would have been like some sort of numbers up here in their professional summary. Otherwise, everything looks great. All right, here's another one-page CV that I know for one of my clients works pretty well. They've been getting about a 20% conversion rate. And this is after we made some changes where they were previously getting under 5%, right? So again, what do the things look like here that went well? So again, product manager for 4+ years in energy across B2B, etc. Right? They have reduced cost to serve by 600,000 pounds, lifted first contact resolution to 70%. Right? They have lots of metrics here. They define a product strategy here that's delivering 800,000 pounds in projected savings. Right? Just lots of things again, and they're reusing some of the content here, like increase first contact resolution to 70%. It's completely fine to repeat things in this context. Okay. There's also clear progression, right? This person started off as an associate product manager at BP and then got promoted to a data product manager. And it's really easy for the recruiter to discern that because they see the company name, the job title, it's clear separation here, really easy to read. Again, no skills section, something that doesn't have to use a heavy amount of styling on some of the terms here to draw attention to it, because it's just really concise, it's really easy to read. All right, last example we're going to look at. This is from a client who actually applied the template that I shared. This is one that I've built that's been used by hundreds of product managers. And again, you can kind of see from a structure and layout standpoint, big section headers, right? Change in font style as well as size and weight. But here again, we see a strong professional summary, right? And their experience and accomplishments, like the brands are easy to recognize, obviously well known. I think the bullets here probably could be a little bit shorter, like this one's just a little bit over 2 lines. I probably want to cut that down. Also, this one specifically, like they own product strategy and P&L for Amazon's affiliate program, which is great, but a lot of this just reads as a scope statement. Right? This is like what they were doing in that position. And so even though this resume is converting really well, probably from a combination of the changes they made on the resume, but also just having strong fit for the roles they're applying to, their first bullet for their first job is a scope statement. And so that is like an obvious improvement for them to make. But there's other evidence of improvements here where we have things like contributing to 35% revenue growth and reversing a 2-year decline, right? I would say that probably needs to be at the start of the sentence, but the fact that it's there is good. Here, they also achieved a 28% uplift in creator engagement, also improved activation by 17%. So they've got these impact numbers in here, but you see the consistent trend is that they're near the end. So if I were to say, hey, what changes should you make to make this one a little bit stronger? Lead with those in terms of the impact. Okay. And again, you see this one's also at 2 pages. Just wanted to also show you what it could look like to show certifications, or this particular PM also speaks lots of different languages. So they created a section specifically for that. You know, that's obviously more valuable in places like Europe and other places that really value people's ability to communicate with different languages and different cultures. But again, you see they're not putting a lot of content against each position, so they're able to fit more in here, and it kind of gets tighter as they go along, right? This job that's 10 years in the past, 1 bullet, no need for that, no need for more than that. This one here at Nespresso, right? Again, just showing some of the different product management positions they held, just 1 bullet point, and they also talk about the optimization through A/B testing. Okay, so those are just some example resumes in terms of things that worked well, things that maybe need some improvement. So hopefully those help you in applying the 3 things we've talked about. Showing your impact with the X by Y by Z framework, having a tight professional summary using the SOAR framework, and then having a clean structure and layout that's easy to follow and find the information that they need. So those are the 3 things that matter most. And frankly, they're all that really matters. If I didn't talk about something that you think I should have, then it's probably because it's not important. ATS keyword matching, skill sections, that fluff might make for easy advice that some rando puts on the internet, but it's not what works. And I know because I'm working with product managers every day and I see what works. So let's recap the 3 things that matter. 1, impact. Use the X by Y by Z framework for as many bullets as you can. 2, professional summary. Use the SOAR framework to write a compelling 3 to 5 sentence intro. And 3, structure and layout. Keep it clean, keep it simple, and put the experience at the top. If you apply these 3 approaches, you're going to see your application conversion rate go up and start getting more interviews without having to apply to a ton more jobs. But getting interviews is just one part of the roadmap to a better product manager career. Now, if you want to know more about what else goes on that roadmap, check out this video where I walk through everything that you need to build a better career as a product manager. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.